Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about the topic of sainthood. And I'm going to be talking about some philosophical things on this channel because I definitely think they have a lot to do with mental health. Kind of your ideas of what are right and wrong are going to impact the way that you feel about your behaviors and you feel about your thoughts. Whether we kind of push things into the dark side of our psyche or allow them to come to our consciousness has a lot to do with our morals and philosophies. So, um, today I want to talk about the idea of sainthood as it is presented traditionally in Christianity, although there are other religions and that have a similar kind of philosophy around sainthood. I was brought up to believe that being a saint was kind of what I call Good-ism, which is this kind of default way of always being self-sacrificial, always being giving, always being forgiving, always showing mercy, compassion. And I had these ideas that this was just always the right thing to do. Fast forward to myself now in life, and I think what I have learned where I am in my healing journey is that that is an incredibly imbalanced position to be. We have these parts of us that are supposed to be nurturing and giving, but we also have these parts of us that are supposed to be equally protective of ourselves. And a lot of Christianity, for me, the way that it was interpreted to me, not that Christianity is anyway has these, blanket good or bad. I don't think any religion has like a blanket good and bad, but the way that something is interpreted to you with the intention of making you not put defenses up against abuse. So I'm going to read a little passage from this book called Owning Your Shadow. It's by Robert A. Johnson. This is the book. So this is about, understanding the dark side of the psyche, which I'm all into. But this guy really is into Jungian psychology, so that's a lot of where his stance comes from. But I'm going to read the passage here. I regret the prevailing attitude at present that goodness or sainthood consists of living as much as possible on the right hand, the good side of the seesaw. Sainthood has been caricatured as an image of the all right person, the person who has transferred everything to the perfect side of his personality. Such a condition would be completely unstable and would flip immediately. The balance would be disrupted and life would be impossible. The fulcrum, or the center point, is the holy place. I agree that we must relate to the outer world with the refined product of the good side, but this can be done only by keeping the left side in balance with the right. So the nurturer and protector, the doing good, giving service, but also protecting our own selves. We must hide our dark side from society in general, or we will be a bloody bore, but we must never try to hide it from ourselves. True sainthood, or personal effectiveness, consists in standing at the center of the seesaw and producing only that which can be counterweighted with its opposite. This is far from the sentimental view of goodness that has been set up as our ideal. So, this kind of is suggesting that many of us, particularly women, but certainly men as well, have been conditioned to be too far to the right, to be too good. And it's sort of like we have identified that being good is being self-sacrificial and abandoning our own needs in order to be pleasing to others. But good is just a label. It's just something that someone said, this is good, and you believed it because you were young and didn't have any ideas to counter those suggestions that were made to you. I know that I certainly, through a lot of my life, had developed this guilt conscience that, I felt guilty about things that I had no control over, like global things, almost this like spiritual guilt conscience that was, constantly asking myself if I'm doing the right thing. Compassion is not seeking vengeance when someone has hurt you. Compassion is looking at someone and separating their behaviors from the soul of the person and being able to wish goodwill on the soul of that person while having compassion for your own soul and your own right to protect yourself. Like if you believe in God, God gave you this body, this life, and it is your duty to both nurture and protect it. If you have been brainwashed into not protecting it, that is the devil's work. Compassion towards yourself and towards the world means setting boundaries, showing people what is the result of their behaviors around another person. So I always say, like, consequences are a kindness, not only to the other person because you show them before they do something worse and getting even more trouble, perhaps with the law, do something to have their freedom taken away. You show them by having a boundary or having a consequence, such as losing access to you if they do something that's really hurtful. You are being compassionate to them by showing them the result before they do much worse, and by also that gives compassion to other people as well, because other people out in the world, because they learn from you that this is how people react. And so if I try this again in the world and I keep running into people, taking back access to them when I behave in this way, then I am going to have to mend my behaviors and change my behaviors. So I want to take this time to just ask you to look inside of your own brain's programming and ask yourself if there are things that you have been shamed into or guilted into that perhaps were framed in a way that seemed like good and righteous, but perhaps had the ulterior motive of making you abandon your needs or make you be too nice so that you are vulnerable to abuse. If you have built kind of a very bitter wall against people who abused you, or a group altogether because of exploitation or abuse that you've experienced, or oppression in any form, number one, don't beat yourself up. It's totally understandable. And I think there's a process where there is a period of anger that has to be released if you've been hurt. You are entitled to those feelings. But if it stays around forever, it's a pretty big indication that your nurturer slash protector is still out of balance. I found that for myself, when I would really hold on to things, hold on to grudges, it was because I didn't subconsciously really trust myself to be able to hold the line and hold my ground if I got into a situation again where I would have to, you know, get into a conflict with someone over my own boundaries. Like, I grew this bitterness in some ways because I deep down felt like it should be that just people respect me. I didn't have this sense that I would be able to stand up and protect myself if they did disrespect me. So a lot of my grievances and a lot of the bitterness that I have held over abuses and things that have happened to me, I found that when I really got to this stable place where I'm like, I know that I would not stick around for a scenario. I would not continue to give someone access to me who was abusing me or neglecting me or, like, psychologically screwing me up. I know that I have built the defenses and the strength within myself to walk away from those situations. And that's what allows me to have actually, like, a genuinely open heart going forward, because I know that I will protect myself, that I nurture and give when it feels like that's a reciprocal thing, that it's going to be cherished and appreciated. And I know that I can cut myself off and walk away if it's with a person that is abusive, or a party that I don't want to give that to. I don't feel compelled or a compulsion to overextend or give more or give to people that don't deserve it out of being good or in service of some greater philosophy of sainthood or Good-ism. Really, what happens when you achieve this level of balance is you kind of become unhurtable. Like, when you really go through these cycles where you're able to, like, forgive people and come to a place of genuine compassion because you know that you will protect yourself if something, damaging ever presents itself again, that like you've got your own back, you're very balanced. um it allows you to not take things personally. Like, it's never really about you. It's about another person and their insecurities and their need to control or dominate. It really has nothing to do with your value or self-worth as an individual when somebody tries to hurt you in any sort of way. And so that is a place that you come to when you restore this level of balance of both a nurturer and protector. And this is regardless of whether you're a male or female or anything else. This balance of dark and light energy, protector, nurturer, masculine, feminine, they should be 50-50 generally in everyone. This is a practice of kind of checking in with yourself and seeing, am I, in balance as far as my, like, community minded, social minded, giving, compassionate, merciful. Is that in balance with the you have displayed to me that you are not to be trusted and I am, out of this situation? Does it have a balance with your walls, with your boundaries, and with your willingness to assert your will? That means to not have somebody else just kind of rail you down to where you give in and surrender your will, and also stand in your values and protect those values. Are those two parts of your personality roughly equal? For me, it's been like, it kind of ebbs a bit back and forth. And I am continually, kind of reflecting on things and being like, I kind of wish I was a little more protective then, or like maybe that was a little too harsh. And I kind of could have come back to a bit more of a nurturing side. I will constantly reflect and adjust over time. And I think, like I'm still relatively, youthful. I have a lot of life left, I think. um, and I imagine I will get to like old age and hopefully be much better at this, and having this, enough experience to kind of know what to do when to kind of be more on one side and when to have the shield. I hope this was helpful for you. Please do like, subscribe, do all of that stuff if you would like to see more content. Until next time, thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you later. Ciao.